So we've known that the Joe Biden presidential campaign is going to be putting together some task forces integrating both his type of people, the Democratic Party, but also some progressives to try to unify these different areas and to produce recommendations on a number of different issue areas to both Joe Biden, but also to the DNC for their platform committee. And we now have details on what the 6 different unity task forces will look like. Most importantly, and certainly what's making the headlines, is that the climate change focused unity task force is going to include a pretty heavy hitter, and that is Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who greeted the news of this by saying, after conferring with grassroots activists and climate allies, I'm accepting Bernie Sanders' nomination to co-chair, and not just on it, but co-chair the Climate Change Unity Task Force with Secretary John Kerry. Our planet is dangerously imperiled, and wherever there are decisions made, the people must have a voice. So we're going to have more both from her and also more of who is on some of these task forces. But JR, what's your immediate reaction?
It's good. I mean, we got to have some representation and an acceptance of certain elements of the party that obviously are necessary and obviously represent a big portion of it. So enough of the right because of what, where they stand in party lines or what supporters look like of theirs. And whatever kind of in-battling that's been going on, this is to get something progressed. And this is the kind of thing I like to see. And I also wonder, I didn't get a chance to look up how detailed maybe supporters of AOC or supporters of Bernie Sanders don't like if there's this unity thing happening and they're going to be working with establishment figures, say like John Kerry and those guys. But that's one of those things that's going to have to be ironed out and accepted, because what's the bottom line of what we want? Some kind of progress, right? And sometimes other guys in power and other guys in positions of doing things, if they start to see your way, as long as then once you're there, your ideas aren't suppressed and you're just used as a pawn to be seen as a point of legitimacy. As long as that doesn't happen, yeah, I'm looking for I can't find the negative here.
Yeah, and by the way, so you acknowledging the possibility that either by design or just in the end that some of these individuals will just be used by pawns. It's, intended to placate us and that sort of thing. Yeah. I think everyone is going to have that same belief going into it. And you're not wrong to believe that. And probably in the end, that's what it will be. But it's what we've got right now. and look,
then, yeah.
No, go on.
So, but the thing is, the hope is that if that happens, or if it begins, if maybe her ideas or people from her element, part of the party's ideas begin to get suppressed, that they voice that as, hey, listen, we're not being heard. Let's go ahead and reset this, rather than just allowing it to happen. Because you still have a voice to point out what's really happening.
Yeah, exactly. And look, if it happens, I have a feeling she's probably going to say that. She's probably going to be clear about it. Like she is. I understand there's some people whose hobby is trying to find reasons to cancel AOC or throw her in the wood chipper or whatever. I'm not there personally. That's not the sort of progressive I am, where I just spend all of my time trying to identify sources of hope and shred them. But anyway, but we should be critical. And look, if you want to understand her thinking about this, about being included in this when, she was obviously very critical of Joe Biden, both before and after he presumably became the nominee or will become the nominee. She has laid out her thinking, and she'll probably talk about it quite a bit in interviews. We're gonna reach out to her. Good luck to us. But anyway, we're going to try to talk to her about it. And you can find out more of what she thinks. So I want to read you at least one more of the tweets that she sent out this morning. She says, I have always believed that real change happens not with a panel or task force, but in everyday people organizing mass movements to demand change. Yet we should also commit to showing up everywhere, every space where there are decisions and formative conversations with movement voices. And so I am going to say, if I can speak for her, that she didn't join this panel because we got it. We're good. Green New Deal all the way. All our troubles are gone. But this is going to make recommendations. There is at least some chance some of them might be followed. And so to the extent that she can influence that, she wants to. And she's not just entering the committee. She's going to be co-chairing it with John Kerry. Yeah. Why John Kerry? I'm not 100% sure. He was a senator, Secretary of State. I guess. I don't see what that has to do with the environment. He's been pretty pro-fracking in the past, so we're going to have to see what his stance is on this. I imagine consistent with his past. But you also have Varshini Prakash of the Sunrise Movement as well, who also has a long tweet thread explaining, her mixed feelings about joining up with this individual that she and a lot of people like her aren't super supportive of. She mentions the allegations from Tara Reid as well. So all of this is out there. What they're trying to do is what they always do, which is, against seemingly impossible odds, nudge the country in the direction it needs to go.
Well, this is okay, and I guess this is where maybe many members of the audience or just progressives in general in the party may differ from me. We have to, and I said this from the beginning when Joe Biden jumped in the race. First of all, I haven't had a chance to gloat yet since Biden got the nomination, which I didn't vote for Joe Biden, and I didn't want him to get the nomination. But seemingly he has it, first of all. But there was this thought that there's not enough support for Joe Biden or from the establishment wing of the party. Just because the establishment wing of the Democratic Party is establishment and they're Republican light in many ways, doesn't mean there's not a lot of Democrats that support them that don't think establishment way. They're just Democrats. And there are many of them probably Democrats that go, I've been a Democrat my whole life. My dad was a Democrat. My grandfather was a Democrat. Those type of people, which are a little annoying, but they exist and there's a lot of them. And so Biden represents that arm of it. So does John Kerry. So does a lot of these establishment folks. We have to, if we want any progress, we can't assume they don't exist. Mm-hmm. Just because I think it's pretty obvious. This is my bias now. It's pretty obvious that the progressive wing of the party actually has answers to move us forward in the country to benefit everybody. Mm-hmm. I believe that. But you still have to acknowledge that there's people that aren't there. They don't think the same way as you. So we still got to work with them, even though many of their ideas are a bit disastrous, but they exist. There's still people there that support them.
Yeah. Look, we're going to see. Going to follow along as the task force meets. We have now people on the inside in it who are going to be giving us information. That is, in this area, what we can hope for. We have to do, and you can read it in the tweet threads from both AOC and Varshini Prakash, we have to keep applying pressure in every way possible. That's what we have to do. We can just surrender. We can just back off. We can just exist as spectators to politics, watching it from afar, feeling like we're better because we're not in the muck. Okay, there's certainly going to be people like that. And I get it. If you've been so beaten down by the experience of being involved in American politics, then, I understand the desire to do that, or even the reality of doing that. But thankfully we have people like this who are not doing that. And in addition, that's two individuals who are in the climate task force. You also have people like Abdul El Sayed. He's in the healthcare focused one. You've got Pramila Jayapal as well. Individuals like Stephanie Kelton and Sarah Nelson, a number of others. Now, I don't want to get your hopes up too much. I am mentioning most of the people who I would consider to be on our side on these panels. There are others as well. But the majority are going to be, the sort of people that Joe Biden and John Kerry and the DNC are very comfortable with. So those who have been drafted or suggested by Bernie Sanders onto these task forces, they have their work ahead of them. But I did want to read one of the graphics. So this is from Senator Bernie Sanders. It was his response to the announcement today. He said, I commend Joe Biden for working together with my campaign to assemble a group of leading thinkers and activists who can and will unify our party in a transformational and progressive direction. And I have a feeling that wherever he is right now, Bernie Sanders probably feels pretty similar to how you might be feeling hearing this. I mean, this is the best that we've got right now. The struggle continues. It is not the solution to all of our problems. We will have more to face in the future. But right now, this is what we've got.
Yeah, it's what we got. And then it's better than nothing. There's voices on the panel. Again, I get if there's any frustration over it not being a sweeping across the board, everyone listens to us change, but that's generally not how it works. When you're coming from a position of trying to force people that are in power and they're used to doing their thing to do it in a better way, they're not willing to just listen to you just because. So it's good to start to have some tentacles into this. I like it.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.